What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Halving Report podcast. This is episode 56 with myself, your host, Brad Mines. There are 824 days left until the next Bitcoin halving. The price of Bitcoin is 51,000 US dollars. Today, we welcome back Jordan Anderson, a co-founder and the current COO of BitBuy Exchange Canada, the place where I personally send all new Canadians to buy and sell their cryptocurrencies. There is so much happening with BitBuy right now. Let's get right to the interview. Good afternoon, Jordan. Thanks for coming back onto the Halving Report podcast.
Brad, man, pleasure to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. Lots have happened since the last time you were on back in April of 2020. You know, the price of Bitcoin was a mere 6,800 US dollars at the time. It was about a month before the third Bitcoin halving. Maybe you can just give us a brief introduction for those who missed that episode.
Yeah, totally. So Jordan Anderson, Chief Operating Officer at BitBuy. We are Canada's largest, or one of Canada's largest trading platform / exchange / marketplace. So yeah, I got involved here basically with 3 other people back in December of 2017. And so coming up basically just now, right on my 4-year reunion of being able to kind of be part of this monumental shift in history with when it comes to cryptocurrencies and the blockchain, and really being able to connect Canadians to a trading platform, or being able to connect Canadians to access Bitcoin and other digital currencies has been an amazing ride, and it's been my pleasure to do that for the last 4 years.
Yeah. I remember last time we spoke, mass adoption was such a full focus point for you guys over there, and you guys just dropped a bomb on us with the addition of DOGE, POKALKDOT, was it CARDANO, SOLANA, UNISWAP, SUSHISWAP, and MATIC. You know, was it known that these were coming to the users, or was this just a surprise? And why did you guys decide to add these particular assets?
Yeah, so I guess, you know, we had already 9 assets on the trading platform, and so with the addition of 7 new assets, we just feel like we are, you know, playing catch up to be able to offer more assets. And there's a variety of factors that we look at when adding assets, you know, market cap, liquidity, demand from users. You know, we poll users and get feedback from users, and we get requests every day for different assets. So we landed on these ones for sort of a nice rollout of 7, but we're not stopping there. We're going to continue to roll out new assets and you know, continue to evaluate them on a variety of different factors, though some of which I just mentioned to you, and in addition, more factors such as risk to users and regulatory concerns as well.
And what's been the reaction from the users so far? Have you seen lots of volume with these new digital assets added to the platform, or
yeah,
kind of still
we actually our data team was pulling some pretty cool stats for us the other day. Right off the bat, Solana was the most traded asset on day 1, followed by MATIC and DOGE. So there's kind of the gold, silver, bronze right there.
That's awesome. And you know, BitBuy has now the first crypto marketplace to receive OSC approval. What is OSC approval, and why is that important?
Yeah, so I believe it was in March of 2019, the IROC and CSA produced a joint consultation paper around a new regulatory framework that was coming out for crypto, what they called CTP, so crypto asset trading platforms here in Canada. So basically, if you're operating a crypto trading platform here, you would have to fall into this framework, and they had required platforms to basically voluntarily reach out and start working with them and providing information on their businesses to them. So many platforms, especially the ones that were based here in Canada, had really no choice but to kind of move forward with that framework and to start working with these regulators, their respective securities regulators in their respective province, wherever they are domiciled, meaning wherever they're headquartered out of. As you can see, some of the international platforms like Binance and Huobi and KuCoin and Poloniex, like they didn't seem to want to take that sort of, forward-looking approach and reach out to these regulators. So they just essentially didn't bother starting to work with them and speaking out with them, and they actually basically got banned for Canadians, and then told all their Canadian customers that they're leaving for whatever their own choice and reason. Doesn't mean they won't be back, but they're not willing to jump through the hoops at the given time, or for whatever reason they chose that, that they wouldn't be continuing to serve either Ontario residents or Canadian residents, or there's a mix of both. So we, of course, took the approach, as BitBuy's always taken the approach, that we are going to do whatever it takes to comply with regulation here in Canada, whether that was, us early on becoming a money service business, more specifically virtual asset service provider under the FinTrack requirements. So we've been working with them and speaking with them for quite some time to be able to get this this marketplace and this dealer exemption. So we basically became a registered crypto marketplace and a restricted dealer. So, what that really means for users is that they essentially don't have to worry about BitBuy not being able to operate here in Canada. Whereas, with some of the international platforms, I'm sure that's been stressful for them, whether they've been required to either take their assets off that platform by a certain date, or not even being able to sign up for those platforms now. So really it's, hey, BitBuy is going to continue to operate here, continue to be open for business for Canadians, and you guys can rely on us to be regulated with these securities regulators, in the future. And just to even go one step further, the types of things that these regulators have us doing only actually, in my opinion, benefits users and reduce the amount of risk that users will be subject to by working with these types of companies, whether that's in different types of insurance requirements, or custody best practices, or additional background checks on the operators and executives and owners of these platforms.
And you guys just acquired one of the largest domain purchases in Canadian history. Can you tell us a little bit about that and your future plans around that?
Sure. Yeah. So we got lots of news coming out. We got lots to go over.
I know. That's lots to catch up on, man.
So yeah. So for a long time, we were looking to get the .com for BitBuy. So BitBuy, we've been operating as BitBuy.ca for basically the last 4 years, and it always just seemed like a natural progression to get the BitBuy.com. It's unfortunate that wasn't acquired early on in the business's life cycle, but we were able to work with an Australian company that had bought it, publicly traded company, years and years ago, and kind of go back and forth with them and be able to obviously acquire that domain. And it was definitely a milestone for us. And I think in any company's growth trajectory, if they want to scale to a certain point, there's certain domain authority in the SEO world that comes along with having a .com that can help a platform like ours to be able to scale internationally into new jurisdictions, but also, make sure that we're capturing all the traffic here in Canada when it comes to people going and typing in, bitbuy.com and not necessarily coming to our website.
Awesome. And one thing I was personally curious about was with the advent of the addition of all the new crypto assets you guys added, where does BitBuy stand on coins like Monero or Zcash? Is that possible to add coins like this in a Canadian regulatory environment?
So it's really tough for us because, just full transparency, like most exchanges, including us, they're integrated with different cryptocurrency monitoring tools. So for us to maintain a strong compliance regime and program that leads to ultimately the safety of, not only our users, but the greater public and society, there is the need to be able to, understand where cryptocurrency goes. And that could be, I think we touched on this on the last podcast, like whether it's like, terrorist financing or, any types of, blacklisted wallets. So with those privacy coins, it makes it especially difficult to be able to monitor where those coins are going, just due to the nature. So, as far as I know, it's not in our roadmap to be able to add those coins in the future. As you may have seen, we are now, coining ourselves as the crypto destination of investors. So, being able to, have privacy coins for different types of privacy payments or whatever that reason may be, that a specific user or customer wants to buy those coins, is not within our mandate.
Right. That makes sense. And you guys have expanded your marketing quite a bit. I've heard you guys on the radio. I've seen you guys in the NHL. Where are some of the most notable places people will notice your logo, and, how are you been targeting Canadians?
Yeah, so I think that as you've seen in the market, there's a huge affiliation between, cryptocurrency and sports at this point. I think it's just what it really comes down to is there's a big overlap in audience between crypto customers and sports fans. So and you can see this with some of the platforms in the US, like FTX, partnering with Mercedes in Formula One, and then even more. And they bought the rights to the arena in Miami where the Miami Heat plays, is now FTX Arena. And then now just the big news was crypto.com over in LA, with this formerly the Staples Center is now becoming crypto.com. So arena, I believe, or center. So you can see that there's a big push in the industry with trading platforms and sports. And so BitBuy's definitely taken that approach, and we've taken that on. Like you mentioned, we've purchased advertisements on the boards in the NHL, and we've also partnered with the Canadian Elite Basketball League as well on a sponsorship. So expect to see more interesting sports affiliations and partnerships coming down in 2022. I'm really excited. But I will leave it up to your imagination and people listening, their imagination as to what that's going to look like. But stay tuned for some really exciting stuff, and I'll obviously, we'll leave everybody with a little element of surprise here.
Stay tuned. Exciting things to come. Awesome, man. When you were on in April in 2020, you mentioned that you wouldn't consider yourself not a maxi. Now, I see a little bit of grief online when BitBuy adds so-called shit coins, right? What's your stance on altcoins? Is it ethical to onboard new users through altcoins? What do you think about that?
Like, there's some interesting ways to look at this. I say, the way I kind of look at it is, Bitcoin is the original, Bitcoin is the king, and Bitcoin will continue to dominate the arena and be the strongest store of value. But at the same time, I don't think you can sit here at this point and argue that there isn't a fundamental shift happening with other protocols, whether it's Ethereum or other types of layer 2 protocols, such as Solana and Avex and POKALKDOT and these types of smart contract protocols. So, there's now, you see trends happening on these protocols, whether it was DeFi summer or now NFTs, and you just see these cool things being built on top of these protocols. So Do I consider myself a Bitcoin maxi? Well, to a certain extent, I'm a huge proponent of Bitcoin and what it does, and the type of freedom it unlocks, and the decentralization component, and the ability for it to store value, and all these incredible things that it provides the holders. But at the same time, I see a tremendous amount of value in other protocols as well, and what they're able to provide people as well. So you know, people can call them what they want, shit coins, this and that, but you know, when you look at the adoption rates of a coin like Solana or Polkadot, or even Uniswap, or you know, or MATIC, like these other coins or these other protocols, there's a tremendous amount of value, and I think that, you know, that value will only continue to grow over time, and I'm really excited for BitBuy and BitBuy's customers to be able to be a part of it.
Well said. I just recently signed up for Wealthsimple just to kind of diversify out of crypto a little bit, and just to, you know, play it safe. And one thing I noticed is that, and I saw that you mentioned as well, is that you can't actually take your crypto off their platform. So I wanted to ask you, you know, why is that important to you and your team?
Well, when you look at Wealthsimple and you look at BitBuy, I almost look at Wealthsimple as somewhat of a legacy platform, right? They started with securities, ETFs, and then they've now pivoted into crypto. BitBuy has always been a crypto native first platform, right? So we always had deposit and withdrawal, and we've always been structuring our teams and our processes and our engineering around being able to offer those services. And so that's going to continue to be the case, and that's not going to change, right? Wealthsimple's now, you know, had to pivot into trying to do what we do there. So they looked at our business model and other competitors of ours, said, okay, we wanted to be doing that. We want to be part of that. So now they're playing catch up, trying to figure out how to integrate deposit withdrawal into their system. And I think they're probably running into a lot of hurdles, things that we've solved kind of like, you know, we've been solving those problems that we've been solving since day one for users. So, you know, whether they get there or not, I'm sure that, you know, they can continue to work to get there and try and figure that out. But there's obviously a lot of difficulties in from a business standpoint in providing those types of services, and we can get into that as well, what that looks like. So, you know, I think it just kind of comes down to the two businesses and sort of the ethos around the businesses, and I look at BitBuy as part of a greater cryptocurrency ecosystem where users can deposit and withdraw their crypto and send it to different platforms and trade it and stake it and be part of other types of financial vehicles and DeFi and NFTs and these types of you know, crypto 2.0 or sorry, web 3.0 products. So that's the difference, right? And so I'll give you an example. Like when we launched those 7 new coins, just to go over them again, DOT, DOGE, ADA, SOL, MATIC, Uni, and Sushi. Right now, deposits withdrawals are just available for MATIC, Uni, and Sushi. But very shortly, they'll be available for the remaining 4, the DOT, DOGE, ADA, and SOL. Is because there are some additional considerations and additional work that needs to go in it, but we wanted to get all those coins out to at least be able to trade them, right? Obviously, deposit and withdrawals are available for all the other coins that we offer as well. So some people may not care about being able to deposit and withdraw, right? Some people may just want the exposure to coin, just buy it and just hold it and leave it in their Wealthsimple account. That's great, and I'm sure that appeals to a certain amount of users. But you know, if you want to be able to be part of that greater ecosystem, or you want to be able to, you know, hold your Bitcoin on your cold storage wallet, or even your ETH, or whatever you want to do, put on cold storage, self-custody, move to other platforms, trade on DEXs, buy NFTs on OpenSea, all these other things, and the use cases are tremendous and extensive, then you're going to need to use a platform like BitBuy versus Wealthsimple.
What's your take on the adoption of Bitcoin as a national currency by El Salvador? And do you foresee other nations coming on board with that?
Oh yeah, I think it's incredible, and I definitely see more and more nations coming on board. I think that they made it was a great move, and I think they want something better for their people. And you can see, like, in Canada, we have a very stable fiat currency. Like, the price of our goods are relatively normal. Obviously, we're subject to some inflation, and that's been getting worse in the recent years with all the increase in money supply due to the COVID pandemic. And it could continue to get worse, and it's probably a big reason why people have bought Bitcoin. But imagine that times 10 or times 20 in some of these other uh, countries where their fiat currencies are inflating at even an ever more increased rate. So I think it was a smart move for them to get ahead of that, and to kind of make sure that that it sort of holds the government there accountable for fiat currency debasement.
And what's your general outlook on the current Canadian government on crypto? Have they said much about cryptocurrencies, and where do you see them moving forward?
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to central bank digital currency, right? CBDC. I was looking into this a lot, like, earlier in the year. I haven't sort of kept up with it as of late, but for the most part, with the government, right? You have these government bodies like FinTrack that we've been working with for several years now. You have sort of the CSA, which is a Canadian Securities Administrators. Then you have IROC, which is a self-regulatory body, and then you have the various provincial securities regulators, such as the OSC and the BCSC and the ASC out in Alberta and so forth, right? So they're all kind of creating different frameworks for different purposes. In terms of the central bank, which I guess, the Central Bank of Canada, which I guess is what I'm guessing you're kind of referring to here, and them creating a CBDC for Canadians, I think the amount of work that would go into that is insane. And just like thinking about how the government moves now, and the amount of red tape and the amount of sort of catch up and antiquated processes that exist, I think it would be very, very difficult to have a CBDC. But I am hopeful for the Canadian government that in one day could be being used among us, and ultimately, hopefully, holding our government more accountable to spending, and understanding, having a proof of, where our tax dollars go and what is being spent on, and, almost like more like a DAO, like a decentralized autonomous organization, where we could vote against how the money is being spent, and so forth. So I could imagine there would be a huge amount of advantages for citizens if they were able to roll out a CDBC. But yeah, I don't necessarily see it happening in the short term, just due to all the hurdles.
I see a lot of criticism about CBDCs, but I like your take on it in terms of offering that transparency, right? And seeing where our money is going. People, that's what kind of where we're going to. People want to see exactly where their money's going, and not just see
Yeah.
it all pooled up and then thrown out there and not
Yeah.
exactly know where it's going.
Yeah, as long as it's on a public blockchain, right?
Mhm.
Where it could be studied, and the data could be processed and analyzed, versus like if it was on like some sort of private blockchain, or some sort of black box. I mean, I don't see how much it's much different than what we have right now.
I see a lot of people in the community, a lot of Bitcoin maxis and people in the Bitcoin space that are uphold these libertarian ideals and are very anti-lockdown, anti any sort of COVID restrictions. Now I know you've been personally hit by this pandemic. As you told me the last time you were on the show. Do you find yourself at odds with the community on social issues much?
No, honestly, to be completely honest, like, I'm very much heads down, focused on BitBuy, and we have a lot of work here, and we have a very aggressive roadmap, and we've been scaling this business up pretty aggressively. We're almost at 100 people now working here. So
Wow.
I try to stay away from a lot of the social chatter around political issues and views around what's going on with COVID and lockdowns and so forth. I think that, as a business, we've taken an approach where, we're just ultimately concerned around the, the safety and well-being of our staff, and the same thing goes for me with my family. And so I'll kind of leave it at that.
Yeah, no, it's very, very smart. Do you partake in the NFT space at all? Are you interested in the meta?
It's a good question. I think it's a huge opportunity that's going to be continued to unlock. I think it's definitely like the flavor of the week right now when it comes to crypto. And I think that, there's going to continue to be these trends where things get hot and then cool off. But I think NFTs are definitely here to stay. I saw actually just the other day that the amount of searches on Google for NFTs surpassed Bitcoin and crypto. So you can see that that it's been becoming easier for the overall general population society to start like buying into NFTs and adopting them, I think, compared to crypto, because I think that art is such a big medium within our culture. And so the idea of having digital art and having ownership over it is very appealing to a lot of people. And I think that people are starting to grasp their heads around NFTs and the way that the ownership can be transferred over the blockchain and held over the blockchain and proved over the blockchain is pretty incredible. So I think that they are definitely here to stay. I have a few myself, but they're not very valuable, and I definitely am not, part of the Bored Ape Yacht Club or anything like that yet. I think the prices will definitely need to go down significantly for me to be able to even consider being a part of that. But yeah, it's absolutely incredible and mind-boggling, how much they've grown, but I still think it's definitely very early, and we got a lot of room to run.
A lot of people anticipated Bitcoin to be 6 figures this year, but possibly going into next year now. Where do you see us in the current cycle?
Yeah, I mean, look, I always just say, like, people ask me, like, man, like, when's Bitcoin going to 100K? When's Bitcoin going to 100K? I'm just like, honestly, like, it's just not a matter. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when. And if you're concerned about when, then just don't hold, just don't hold it, because everybody comes down to time preference, right? And those with low time preference, like as in Saifedean's book, those with low time preference are the ones who win here. So as long as you fundamentally believe in this store of value and you have the conviction to hold long term, I think you'll see that kind of 100K. And I think you're kind of seeing that with a lot of the long-term holders. Like even now with the recent shakeout, like most of the coins that were being sold were coins that were recently bought. Then that's sort of based off of Glassnode metrics. So a lot of the people that have been holding are going to continue to hold, because I don't think none of the long-term holders, or not many long-term holders, really want to sell at these levels. So when it comes to the overall Bitcoin cycle, I think we're in sort of this much longer, more drawn out cycle where we kind of are just going to continue to hit higher lows throughout the cycle. As you can see, like the last drawdown went down as low as like 30K, and then this one, the big resistance now is like 40, 42K. So you're kind of just seeing these higher lows. So long term, I think that when it comes to Bitcoin, like it's going to continue to hold value, a lot of strong value. I don't think it's going to be similar to previous cycles where you kind of had this big boom and bust. So that's my sort of 100-foot view on the situation, if that makes sense.
So possibly like a lengthening cycle theory, or just not so dramatic when the price dips.
Yeah, and I think we've already kind of seen that to a certain extent, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if that continues to play out in a similar fashion.
Mhm.
One thing I've always kind of compared this cycle to was sort of when it came to like a lot of the .com companies, the 99, like 2000 cycle where you kind of had that dramatic hype and then sell off. It's like similar to like the sort of the 16, 17 cycle with Bitcoin. And then this one being more tuned to like what happened in 04, 05, where, you kind of had this very long cycle of growth and talent and use case happening where that sort of it was less about hype and more about actual fundamental value that was being created. Similar to like, when the growth of, Google and Facebook and Amazon and a lot of these, now what are multi-trillion dollar companies, but even, a lot of the like, multi-billion dollar companies. And so you're kind of maybe seeing that now with this whole, cryptocurrency Web3 trend.
Awesome, man. Jordan, we've powered through some of my questions. I want to ask you, what do you like to do outside of crypto? I see you like to hit the slopes. What other hobbies do you like to do?
Yeah, definitely. Just as we were talking about before the show, I think before the show got started, we got a dog now, so I like to take my dog out for walks. She's 7 months old puppy, so I'm just focused on kind of training her.
What kind of dog?
It's a Staffy Terrier. So yeah, so that's been awesome. She's great, and yeah, spend time with my family. Like, a lot of my BitBuy colleagues, like we're really close. We like to spend time together as well. We've been through a lot together over the last 4 years. So we have a lot of fun together, like to get out with those guys, do different guys and gals, and do different activities with them. We had an awesome holiday party just recently. Luckily, right before the lockdown, no one got COVID to my knowledge. And yeah, hit the slopes, and I like to bike and, in the summer, and sometimes even hit up a little bit of golf.
And you're a traveler, right? Did you travel Thailand?
I did.
Yeah.
Brad's been studying my Instagram photos.
I saw some photos, man. Well, my girlfriend and I, we want to go. So I think
Yeah.
we're gonna go in the new year, but I think it's gonna be canceled just because the Thai government's just changed the rules. So I just want to ask you a little bit about your experiences there. If there's any places that I,
Oh
want to
yeah.
see.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely hit up the North. Thailand is awesome up there. Chiang Mai, Pai, kind of like a little, jungle waterfall vibe, and lots of great places to eat and hang out. And then obviously, you got the South, you got the nice beaches, and got my scuba diving license there too. So if you
Oh,
ever thought about scuba diving, it's a great place to learn as well.
did you start from scratch there, or have you had
Yeah,
prior
yeah, just
experience?
first time. Yeah.
Wow, how long did
Went
that
my
take?
it was like a 4 day course. You start in super shallow water and just learn kind of how to breathe with the tank, and do a bunch of classroom work, and learn all the sort of the requisite knowledge to be able to go sort of under, and then your sort of test is that you can go 60 feet down after, which isn't that bad, and then you go 60 feet down and kind of swim around real deep and take your time, go back up, and yeah, we got our licenses, but yeah, I got it. That's a pretty cool experience for sure.
Sweet, man. I know we covered a lot of stuff in crypto today, but if there's anything that I missed that's big that's going on, is there anything else going on, or did we kind of
Um,
hit all the
yeah,
recent news?
yeah, I think we hit a lot of it. We got some TV commercials coming. We're definitely pushing sort of for mass adoption in Canada, and we got plenty of new products lined up for the new year. So, thanks to all of our current customers for supporting us over the years, and we're working really hard to continue to improve the service, improve the product, and we're super grateful for everybody who's been with us for over the long haul.
I think I thought of one more thing: the $40 referral bonus until the end of, what is that, till the 25th or the 31st?
Yeah, so we have that till I believe it is until the end of the year. So
Awesome. It's huge.
yeah, refer your friends, and they'll get $40 for signing up and creating an account, and you'll get $40 when they do that as well, based off the first deposit.
Sweet. I'll definitely have my referral link down below in the show notes. Do you have any questions, comments for me? If not, maybe just let us know where to follow you, Jordan.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So you can follow me on Twitter. It's Jordan Ben _Ben with a 0 for the O. So J0RDAN _Ben. And then obviously follow BitBuy on Twitter, and check us out on Instagram as well. We got a lot of cool stuff going on there as well.
Awesome, man. Jordan, thanks for your time.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Brad. Good job with Halving Report. Keep it up, and always a pleasure to come on the show.
Thanks, man. I'll be in touch. Thank you all for listening to the Halving Report podcast. Please like and subscribe to the show, share it with a friend, check out our show notes below for more about our guests and some sweet crypto coupons, and we'll see you back next time.